Community, talkradio.nyc.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the A Train to Sedona broadcast. I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is also the name of a book I wrote, a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. In it, I share my successes and my failures. I wrote the book so that my voice would be heard, but also to inspire your journey. You can purchase a signed copy on my website at lindamarsanico.com on Buy the Book page, also at retail and bookstores. If you'd like to read the first 7 pages for free, you can go to amazon.com. I also have a free gift for you. I call it the cheat sheet for high vibration living. In it are 7 exercises designed to help you keep your energy positive and in the present moment. For example, there is a walking meditation typical of the Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh, where you take your shoes off and you walk, allowing the earth to nurture you. You can download the free copy on my website at lindamarsanico.com. I have 2 disclaimers. One, that this broadcast does not establish a professional relationship. And 2, that the opinions expressed on this broadcast do not necessarily represent Talk Radio New York City. Today, my guest is Deepak Saini. Deepak Saini helps clients optimize mental, physical, and financial performance. Having spent many stressful years in the corporate world and overcoming an autoimmune condition, obesity, and a back injury, he brings a unique perspective to working with his clients. When this father of 2 is not spending time with his family, he is staying at the forefront of emerging and cutting-edge health research. Deepak is also a speaker, podcast host, international best-selling author, and he's working on becoming a centenarian. Welcome to the show, Deepak.
Thank you, Linda. It's a pleasure to be here again, a repeat guest. I love that when I get called back, so I appreciate it very much.
And we share that. We met almost 2 years ago after my summit at what is called CCC. You got in touch with me through LinkedIn and invited me to your summit on the
Yes, that's correct.
On the spiritual aspects of good health. And then I became aware that you want to live past 100.
Absolutely. It's my goal. I'm gonna die trying.
And you might live trying.
I might live trying. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's my goal as well. And we were talking before the show, and I was saying that there are only 2 people I know, one other than you, who share this goal. And you had something else to add to that.
Yeah, I'm meeting, and it's still a small percentage, maybe 1% of the people that I meet, but I'm meeting more and more people who also have this goal. So I think what that means is, one, an awareness that we can do things, and we're going to talk about that today. But also, 2, I think I'm just hanging around in the right rooms, in the right crowd, where people have this mentality that this is possible for themselves.
I think the first thing is the attitude of wanting to live to be 100 and 100 plus. And with that attitude, I think I kind of develop a lifestyle to follow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have to. You can't rely on just medical interventions or what have you. That's part of it, but it's really boils down. I think the biggest part is actually lifestyle interventions.
So my first question to you, since this show has a spiritual theme, is there a spiritual aspect in your goal to live over 100 years?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I'm going to answer it in maybe two different ways. First off, there's no all the energy in the universe is already here. Energy is not created nor destroyed; it's just transferred. So I think there is a spirituality of our being, of the energy we bring to ourselves, excuse me, that we bring forward in all our interactions, not only with our family, in our communities, and greater mankind, but also the entire, the planet. I think yesterday was Earth Day, or today is Earth Day.
Yesterday was,
Yeah,
yes.
yesterday was Earth Day, and the entire universe. So I think there is that level of spirituality that we have to be aware of with just our own energy and how that relates to everyone else and everything else. The other way I'll answer that question, and some people might have a different view on this, and I will talk more about this later, is I think that our emotions and working in the unconscious mind and handling our emotions and overcoming any challenges we have at that level, or any traumas even, I feel, other people might have different opinion. I feel that is, for me anyway, that's part of my spirituality as well. I'm not, I would never call myself religious. I don't follow a particular um, religion, but I think that inner being, that essence of myself, and again, back to what I said earlier, just how we interact with everyone, that's how I view spirituality.
I want to say something about that as well. My spirituality allows me to expand on third dimensional thinking into so many possibilities. So I'm open to new ways of creating my lifestyle so that I can be a healthy 100 plus woman.
Absolutely.
So I was also wondering what past experiences, your youth, your adolescence, bring you to this goal of wanting to live a very long time.
Yeah, great, Linda. I think I have to kind of give a bit of my backstory to sort of answer that
Mm.
question. So I'll be brief. I know if people heard me the first time I was on the show, we went through that. Um, I was always someone who struggled with my health entire life. I was always the chubby kid. I don't remember a time when I wasn't. At 18 years old, I would be classified as morbidly obese, 100 pounds heavier than I am now. I was always chronically sick growing up as a child, chronic bronchitis, ear infections, all these sorts of things on rounds of antibiotics, excuse me, all the time. Excuse me. And that went well into adulthood. I would get chronically sick 3 to 4 times a year for like weeks at a time. That was my life. But in 2014, I hurt my back such that I couldn't bend over at the waist. I had no flexion. Um, I couldn't pick up my youngest daughter. She was a baby at the time. I couldn't pick up and bend over and pick up a 10-pound baby. So that was my low point. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I certainly was in depression. I like to say the Western medical system did me no favors, wasted 18 months of my health with ineffective treatments, run around through the system, et cetera, et cetera. Took matters into my own hands. Um, and it was overcoming that health journey, and we can dig in more if you want to, but it was overcoming that health journey where that sort of scarcity mindset that had grew up with, that was instilled with me as a child, kind of started to crack. And I had that expansion, that idea of like, well, why not? I've overcome
Mm.
this now. I feel better now than I did, when I was in my 20s. Why can't? And then the more I did research, the more I started making lifestyle changes, which we'll probably get into. I was like, why can't I? Why not? Why can't I be a centenarian? And that was really the start of my both physical, emotional, and spiritual journey to be a centenarian plus.
My interest in living a long time, 100 plus, began, I think, when I read the work of the life extensionists in California. Have you come across them in your research, Deepak?
I would say not directly, but many of my mentors, both formally and informally, were influenced by them. So I indirectly know of them, but I have not studied them specifically. What I will say, it's not exactly the answer to your question, but I'll say the more I get into this, especially exploring maybe the more metaphysical or spiritual side, I am reading older and older texts, right? So I'd like to stay abreast of, the cutting edge science, the latest books and research papers that are coming out for certain things, but some of these other aspects of the whole package of looking of the way I approach my health, I'm going back to older and older texts to read.
The Life Extensionists used to have a magazine that they put out. And I used to have an office on 40th Street in Manhattan. I would come across their magazines all the time. Not so currently, but they said that life expectancy could be 125 plus, given certain practices. And one that I remember is that we were to take in less calories or more plant calories than rich calories like whipped cream, all the things that I love to eat, whipped cream and ice cream and all those things, because the cells, when we're digesting these very heavy foods, the cells work very hard and they get tired. So a simple diet is more conducive to longer life, greater cell health. So I just wanted to mention that. And also, at some point, I would like to offer our listeners, not necessarily right now, I'd like to offer some tips on how to begin, because the things that I do, I've begun 10, 15 years ago, and I'm still adding and changing and shifting. It would be impossible for someone to do everything at one time. It's really a life journey, I feel.
Absolutely, I'm always learning as well, and as someone who does this not only for myself but with clients, I think it's important to remember where my journey began and where people have to begin their own journey, and so the fundamentals. And again, it is a step process. You can't do everything, and I know we'll get more into this a little bit later. But when I do work with a client, I rank things like these are the things you should do immediately, and then here's like tier 2 and here's tier 3 things. Sometimes it's based on adherence and building into a new lifestyle. Sometimes it's resource constraint. It's like, hey, like this, you should, I'll just pick on a supplements, for example. You probably should take this. It's not the biggest bang for your buck and it's fairly expensive. So let's do these 4 things first.
Mm-hmm.
Then when time comes or resources are available, then we should do these other things. So yes, you can't do 40 things at one time. That's not sustainable. Over time, you can build these into a lifestyle, but not right off the bat.
Because it does mean change, changing what doesn't work or what seemed to work until we become aware of what can work more efficiently and create greater health. So it's really checking out what we're doing that we need to shift. And it's sometimes a little uncomfortable. And someone said, if you're living if you're comfortable where you are, you're not growing. So it's a take on life.
Absolutely. I was just sharing this. I have this philosophy many people do is like, if you're not growing or you're not learning, there's a variation to it, then you're just dying, right? And you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the way to have growth. And whatever you want, personal growth, business growth, whatever, any aspect of growth, you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, to pushing those edges of your own boundaries.
So true. I work out at the gym, and for years, as I walk in, people say, enjoy the workout. And maybe one time out of 90, I could enjoy the workout, but it's something that I do because I know it's good for me. And when I complete my workout, the endorphins feel great, those heroin-like substances, they're just great after exercising. So it's doing something that's a little uncomfortable. Although, do you enjoy your workouts?
I do. I mean, it's become
Mm-hmm.
part of my life. I don't even consider it like I have to, I have to go to the gym. No, I get to go to the gym. And I'm luckily enough, my gym's at home, but I enjoy it. I do it every day. As soon as we're done this interview, I'm going to go do my workout. And yeah, it kind of sucks the next day after you do a heavy leg workout and your legs and your glutes are all sore and all that stuff.
Mm.
It on one hand, it's kind of like, that's kind of, your muscles are sore. But on the other hand, it's like, yes, they're sore. Like I'm doing something. I'm making, because I know it's part of my goals.
I'm delighted to know that you enjoy your workout. Now, we do need to take a break, but when we come back, I'd like to ask you about what made you decide. I know you said something about this, but what made you actually decide you were wanting to live past 100? But listeners, we do need to take a break. Come back for this very informative discussion.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the A Train to Sedona. I'm Linda Marsanico with my guest, Deepak Saini. So Deepak, would you share with our listeners what actually made you decide to create the goal of living past 100 years of age?
Yeah, there's a few different components to it. After overcoming my health journey that I mentioned earlier, I decided like I need to help people not have to suffer needlessly like I did. So that's why I started, helping people, coaching people. And then also, like I said earlier, I started to awaken to the idea of like, why not? Like, why do I have these limitations on myself? And I understand why we do, because sometimes we're just going through life, we're in pain, both physical and emotional. Physical that I recognize, emotional that I didn't recognize until later, and many people also don't recognize. And it's just that awakening, learning, and digging into it. And it's just like, again, that from that scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset. And I figured, one, for myself, why can't I do this? Why can't I have a different experience than I had with my grandparents? I lost my grandparents early. I barely have memories of them. I think my memories are basically just on looking at old photographs. I really have no memories.
How old were they, excuse me, when they passed?
Let me think, exactly, in their early 70s. So, it's kind of average age, like nothing too special or anything like that. But I just don't have those memories. Certainly not great grandparents. And so part of my mission is to not only be there, but to be interactive and playing with not only my grandkids, but God willing, my great grandkids as well. And again, not them visiting me in some home with tubes up my nose, me like taking them to the park and crawling on the floor and playing with them and doing Legos and taking them stand-up paddleboarding or whatever their activities are, going to their events, seeing them graduate, all these sorts of things.
Yes.
So that's part of my mission. And then also, again, with my clients is like, and that's not for everyone, I totally understand that. But if that is something that appeals to you as well, let me, pull you along as well. Let me help you achieve those goals. So again, I'm trying to build, selfishly, I'm trying to build a community of like-minded people and friends that I can hang out with 60 years from now.
Yes, yes. As you were talking, I'm reminded that I looked on the internet for some information on the average age. Now, this is for the US. I'm not sure about Canada, but the average age for men is 74.2 years. This is from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And for women, 79.9 years of age. And we want to live considerably longer than that.
Yeah, I'll make the distinction as well. That's when people are dying. When they've stopped breathing.
Yeah.
But most people, not everyone, but let's look at the averages. Just doesn't matter. Canada's roughly the same. Any Western country's roughly the same. People are slowly dying for those last decades of their life, right? For many people, the last 10, 15, 20, even longer years is in a painful decline. I like to approach again with myself, with my clients, what I'm calling some people call it medicine 3.0, lifestyle medicine, lifestyle intervention, what have you, where we have a longer health span.
Yes.
And then that precipitous drop on the curve comes in our 90s, 100s, as opposed to in our 70s or what have you. So it's that, if you're thinking about like a graph of lifespan, health span over time, we want more area under the curve, so to speak. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So yes, that rapid decline of needing care and everything is just months, the last few months, as opposed to the last few decades that many people, unfortunately, are seeing with their grandparents or their parents right now.
You make a very good point, Deepak, because we see that in the streets, we see it in hospitals and doctors' offices, people who are suffering the last years, the last decade or longer. So it's a very important point. What are some of the practices for this goal of living past 100?
Yeah, so I've developed a methodology that I work with my clients. It has an acronym, TIME, TIIME. And as best to my ability, I basically practice what I preach with my clients. So I'll just start going through that if that's okay, Lyndon. Stop me anywhere along the way. So the T of the acronym TIME is testing. And we're not talking about your basic blood labs or anything that people are used to. I'm talking about advanced testing that is now commercially available to the consumer. Some have been for a long time. Some are relatively new. So what I use myself and with my clients, DNA, we get a ton of information from that genetic blueprint that's been passed down for generations. And again, anything that comes up that is not necessarily a life sentence. So I'll just use myself. I've been very open about this. I have one of the ApoE variants that makes me a little bit more, about 10 to 15% more susceptible to getting Alzheimer's than the rest of the population. I have Alzheimer's in my family. I've lost family members to Alzheimer's. I don't view this as a death sentence. This is knowledge. This is a data point. So now I can put lifestyle factors in to contradict this. So DNA, very important. Microbiome. Most people are becoming fairly aware that our gut, our microbiome is our second brain. That's pretty established. Many, and I would argue as well, the more research I do, the more importance. Now, the more research I do, the more I work with clients, I'm realizing that the microbiome is probably even more important. And some people even say it's actually our first brain. It's actually making the decisions. It's sending the signals up to our brain up here. So microbiome, super important. Metabolites, this is an area brand new. Research-wise, it's been around for 10, 15 years. To the direct consumer, only the last 18 months to 2 years. It's a test that I incorporate now. This is the end process after all your digestion. So it's downstream of your microbiome. So all your supplements, medications, food, alcohol, coffee, whatever, it's all what's in your bloodstream afterwards. You get so much data from that. It's one of my top tests that I like to use. Biological age. Where are you actually at? Where are you at a cellular level compared to your biological age? And then, of course, your blood work, labs, et cetera. But I come at it from a different point of view. I come from an optimized point of view, not your standard of care.
Mhm.
Many people are aware, Linda, you're certainly aware, as we've gone through the last, 30, 40 years, society, North America for sure, certainly Western world, has gotten sicker. The average person is overweight or obese, 60%. So these standard ranges, as they get updated, are getting updated on sicker and sicker people. So testosterone is one perfect example. And again, testosterone is not only important for men, it's important for women as well. All these hormones are important. The average range has gone down over time because testosterone levels have gone down for a variety of reasons. So if you're a man, and again, it counts for women as well, but let's just talk to men for a second.
Mhm.
Do you want to be at the low end of the range? No, because 20 years ago, you would have been off the charts low. Do you want to be at the high end of the range? Yes. Or maybe you actually want to be higher than the range. And your doctor might say, oh, that your testosterone is too high. You're at an increased risk for cancer. Yeah, but 20 years ago, that was in the normal range. So that's one. Another one is blood sugar. Your doctor right now might say, oh, you're just borderline. If, we got to, keep an eye on it because, if it gets any 1 point higher, we'd consider you pre-diabetic. The way I look at it from optimized view, if you're already in that gray area, you're already pre-diabetic. You might already be diabetic, but it's not in how standard of care looks like. So anyway, that's just how I look at it. So that's one. T, testing, is get
Yes.
these robust testing so you can actually get these data points and make real action steps far beyond what most people are getting. And this is commercially available, and there's some
Mhm.
expense to it, but it's not like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars to get these things done like maybe 20 years ago. We're talking hundreds or even just a few thousand. I, the next in my time, the
Mhm.
first I is what I call, the I stands for inner game. So this is the emotional. There are more and more studies showing that having suppressed negative emotions lead to disease. In Scandinavia, I can't remember if it was Norway or one of the other Scandinavian countries, they did a 60,000 person study. Okay, that is a very large study, people.
Yes, it is.
A very large study, and they correlated with 100% for all these 60,000 people that went through who had developed cancer. They can trace it back to roughly plus or minus a major emotional event that happened 2 years prior. So not causation, but correlation with 100% accuracy. So if you have cancer is one example, there's obviously a lot of other diseases. Many times people say, oh, genetic. It's like, no, genetic maybe plays. I think it's pretty standard now that we're like 10 to 15% of diseases are actually genetic. Bruce Lipton would say it's less than 5%. And it's very emotional. So again, I use a trio of modalities: timeline therapy, NLP, and hypnosis to work with my clients to limit negative emotions, limiting beliefs. We can do hypnosis to do tactical things like sleeping better or have someone stop eating a certain food, or even the value systems. I was working with a client just 2 weeks ago. We elicited her values around health. And guess what? Healthy eating and movement were not even anywhere in her top 20. So we had to actually instill those values into her so that any recommendations would actually, her unconscious mind would actually value that is actually an important value for her to do. So I say, you need to cut things, stop eating this certain foods based on the tests. You need to move more. If she doesn't value those things, the adherence would be low. So we can actually do that. So that's T, that's I, and I think we have to come on break here. So I'll cut it there and we'll pick it up after the break.
We'll pick it up when we come back. There's Bruce Lipton. There are a number of people who talk about emotions being pivotal.
Louise Hayes.
For years. 20 years, 25 years ago, an oncologist named O. Symington found that his cancer patients had a major emotional loss a year to a year and a half before the onset of the cancer. And he has a wonderful book, Getting Well Again. So anyway, we're going to come back, listeners, and we're going to talk about the I and the M and the E of Deepak's methodology. See you soon.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the A Train to Sedona broadcast. I'm Linda Marsanico with my guest, Deepak Saini. Now, Deepak, you were telling us about TIIME. Have you finished the first I, the inner emotional?
Yes. But Linda, I actually want to go back. I want to incorporate how I actually incorporate this myself, because I think that was the original question. So back to the T, the testing. So obviously DNA, you only have to do that once in your life. That doesn't change. Blood work, I do regularly. I live up here in Canada, so socialized medicine. So I can get it once a year. And again, that's fine because I know how to look at it from, again, an optimized point of view instead of standard of care. Metabolites test, microbiome, et cetera. I do these roughly once a year as well. I want to share just on the testing. So again, I said the metabolites test is relatively new to the consumer, right? Only the last 18 months, 2 years. So back in the fall, maybe about 8 or 9 months ago, I guess. Now I did it for the very first time, and I have to say I was very surprised at my results. I was not as from metabolites point of view, I was not quite what I had expected. I thought I would have been have a little bit higher score. What came up for me actually, and again, traditional medicine likes to look at the body in systems, in silos. Look at the heart system, look at the liver system, look, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we are one person. Our body is one, our mind is one, our soul is one. We can't look at it that way. So even though for data point of views, this test provides it in different silos, they all interact together. So my gut health and my liver health were my lowest scores of all these subsystems, which was a bit surprising. Maybe liver not so much, because I do know that as a weak point of me from the genetic testing. I do know I have poor liver detox functions, both phase 1 and phase 2. So, but the gut health was a bit surprising. But the reason I bring it up is that by working, consciously working on those two systems, because the body is a complete system, it will raise all the rest. And then when I retest again, probably a year from, or maybe 6 months from now, I expect my score to be much better. So again, I changed my own practices, supplements, et cetera, based on the data. So that I just want to clear that for the T. On the I component, I do this work myself. I work with my colleagues. I get regular, I've done major breakthroughs on the emotions, and things came up for me the first time. I had no idea. I knew this a certain event when I was about approximately 18 months old. I knew it had happened to me because people had told me, but my unconscious mind had suppressed it. And when I did the work, particularly timeline therapy, every single negative emotion, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, rage, all traced back to this one event when I was 18 months old. So helping clear that just, makes me, doesn't mean that didn't happen or I don't remember it or anything like that, or for anyone else, but how I show up in the world with these negative emotions go forward is completely different. I was able to have a colleague swap out a food that wasn't serving me. And I'll just share what it is. It was like peanut butter. I can eat peanut butter. I used to be able to eat peanut butter like nobody's business. Apple slices, carrot sticks, celery, whatever. I'd have more peanut butter than I had of the vegetable or fruit, like, as I just love peanut butter so much. But it wasn't serving me. One, it's not good for my digestive system at a cellular and a DNA level. A lot of times there's added sugar, so the whole deal. It make me feel sick. At the unconscious level, I had a colleague swap it out for something that I would never eat. I haven't touched peanut butter in well over a year now.
And what do you eat instead that he switched you out on?
Well, what we did is we associated that particular brand of peanut butter. And we can get very specific with this. That very particular brand, my favorite, with something that I would never eat. So my dog's poop, the consistency, color, very similar.
I get it.
So it wasn't that I switched for a substitute for something else. No, I am because I am hungry and I want a snack. I am reaching for something different. I'm not reaching for peanut butter. I just have no desire it just sits there on the shelf and my kids eat peanut butter and whatever, but I have no desire to have peanut butter.
I get it.
So that is something I've done, and other emotional things as well, hypnosis for better sleep, except these are all things I've done on myself and that I can do with my clients. So I want to close off T and I. The second I of the time, TIIIME, is implementation. So now we've got the test results. We've done the emotional work while we're waiting for the test results. Now we put all the data points together. And again, a lot of these tests, have a bit of a survey, they give you recommendations, but no test, and many other, providers, certainly not your GP, is spending 2 hours with a very robust intake with you to really get to know you, your family, your actual goals, your actual desires, what you actually want to achieve, what your lifestyle looks like now. Especially if someone is non-white, there's ethnic considerations, cultural considerations. How are we going to blend this, whatever recommendations? And that is the implementation. Here's everything you've told me. Here's all the data points. And sometimes the tests contradict. One test might say you need to do this, another test might say do the other. Between us and using, my experience, but it's always ultimately up to my clients, let's run the experiment. Let's lean one way and try this. And we reserve the right to change the experiment in 2 or 3 months if we're not seeing the results. So the I is implementation. Here's the roadmap for the next year and maybe even beyond, but certainly for the next year. And we reserve the right to tweak things up. And of course, part of that implementation is not only supplements that may come from some of the testing where we might be deficient, et cetera, but also nutrition. Nutrition is very customizable and should be. No one's the same. There's no one size fit diet for everyone. It's going to be depend on, some genetic factors, where our microbiome is at this particular point in time, where we have deficiencies, et cetera. So movement practice. So, I work with like a movement plan, again, from the DNA, it's like, you're better suited to doing more short power movements as opposed to long-term cardio. So someone from a DNA point of view, they might not be suited for ultra marathons. They'd be more suited for sprinting or, what have you. So we come up with a plan that works not only for them genetically, but also adherence. What do they actually, and what they like to do, right? Somebody's like, I don't like riding a bike inside. I only want to ride a bike. Okay, great. Well, then in the summertime, we can do this. In the wintertime, what can we do? So we customize a movement plan, nutrition plan, all the other lifestyle factors, sleep, breath work, your lighting, the environment, toxicity in your environment, like all the factors. There's seven big buckets that I work on with my clients. That's the implementation. Now, the M is something a little bit different, a little bit unique to me, is what it's called is M. The M stands for mastermind. Now, if someone's an entrepreneur, a business owner, they're probably familiar with masterminds. Other people maybe not so much. Essentially, you get a group of like-minded people together and you talk about a challenge that you're having and get the collective wisdom from the group. It's not necessarily about the wisdom that I bring, it's about the wisdom from everyone that I bring together. So while I work with my clients one-on-one individually, once a year, I bring them all together and we do a retreat. We get away somewhere, we have some good time, we have some good food, we have maybe some entertainment, and we do a mastermind where everyone sits around for the day and they get to talk about, we called hot seats. Everyone gets to bring their challenge. It could be a business challenge. I mean, this is a health program, I work on People Health, but I tend to get entrepreneurs and business owners or senior people in corporations, and they want to talk shop. So whatever issue they bring, and then they get the collective wisdom for the group. But here's the twist. While we're workshopping, while we're doing the mastermind, we're at a location where we can do an anti-aging or longevity modality. So an example, we could be sitting, in Vegas. That's probably the next one that I have is going to be in Vegas. We're going to have a good time. We have a great long weekend, see a show, etc. Do the mastermind on the Saturday while we're all hooked up to exosomes IV. It could be a peptide protocol. It could be stem cells. So we're doing an intervention that actually helps reverse our age or heal or whatever the case might be for the individual. So that's the M. And then the E of time, TIME, is evaluate. At the end of 15 months, so we kind of give 3 months for that testing and the inner game work, and then 12 months of accountability and interventions, etc. So about 15 months. We retest some of those tests, and we certainly retest biological age. And if people do the work and are committed, at the end of that 15 months, or maybe it's 12 months, we retest biological age. They are at least 10 years younger biologically. And that is the promise of working with me in my Vitality Unleashed program using my time methodology.
Well, your clients must be very pleased.
Oh, they are ecstatic. And again, that accountability, it goes a long way for them. And again, I want to put it back on how I incorporate this myself. I need to stay accountable myself too. I have my own coaches. Some are for business, some are health related, or at least keeping me in that mindset, that inner game work, keeping me on task. And again, I do, refreshes all the time to make sure I'm staying at the top of my game for myself, my family, but also for my clients. I do these advanced modalities myself. I'll go, everywhere that I take my clients on these retreats, I go myself ahead of time, get them tested. Some things I can get available here in Canada. Sometimes I have to go to the US to get them done, but I do them myself. And then again, back to the original T, I always retest myself, and I've been retesting myself, for last 9 years now.
Is that as old as the TIIME is for you in your practice, 9 years?
It's a great question, Linda. It's evolved over time. It's only the last, I guess I started putting the pieces together pre-COVID, but it's only sort of the last 2 years where it's really like the methodology is I've really nailed it, really honed it in, and putting those pieces in. Some of that's the testing that's become available only in the last couple of years. That's really like the metabolites test,
Yes.
really moving the dial. So it's a lot of the components, yes, I've been doing for 9 years. How it stands, how I described it today, just the last little while.
So after research and taking people for 12 to 15 months, upgrading the testing, you have improved the TIIME over time.
Absolutely. And I'm always reevaluating tests and changing companies. If, sometimes it's service, sometimes, they actually just have a better test now. So we're going to switch companies. Supplements, I'm always, I have my go-tos that I love. And sometimes people approach me all the time and it's like, oh, actually, this is actually a better version. So we're going to actually switch clients, et cetera. So yeah, I'm always reevaluating for myself. What can I bring to my clients as well? Because we can't stay static, right? We are really on trying to push the edge of optimization here.
How do you know when a lab is less efficient than another lab?
That is a great question. I always look, number one, at the results and the type of data they're giving you, the type of recommendations they're giving you. Obviously, customer service plays a role as well. One thing I really shy away from is when a lab, or anyone for that matter, it doesn't have to be what we're talking about here. If someone's like, hey, here's a test or here's some assessment or whatever, and here's the recommendations. Oh, and by the way, we have the solution for you. And they've double-sided. So a lot of these companies will have, here you go, here's where you're deficient. Oh, by the way, we have a supplement for that. That's fine. I totally understand the business model and why they do it. I like to find the best supplement. So quite often I tell my clients, like, no, we're not going to use their supplement. There's actually better ones.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a one for all. And like, hey, just taking one pill is great. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I get that, but I'd rather you take those same three ingredients from 3 different manufacturers that you have to buy at 3 different places because it's actually going to work better for you. because it's a better formula or what have you. So, again, I don't recommend anything that I don't do myself. So every supplement I recommend to someone, I use myself, or if I don't need it myself and my client does, at least it's a company that I would use, type of thing.
So you're an avid researcher, and this applies to finding the best supplements and the best labs.
Absolutely, best products, what have you. Yeah.
It is time for us to take a commercial break. And when we come back, I'd like to talk about the practices that people can begin with, some simple practices that people can, when they have the attitude of wanting a lifestyle that brings health and longevity, what they can begin with. So we'll take that break now. And when we come back, we'll have this information. I think it's wonderful information to have, breathtaking. We'll be back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marcanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the A Train to Sedona broadcast. I'm Linda Marcanico with my guest, Deepak Saini. So Deepak, we were talking about some beginning practices for people who are interested in shifting their lifestyle for health and longevity. What would you suggest to our listeners?
I would suggest, everyone's going to be starting from a different place, obviously, but I would say start with the basics, the very simplest things that actually don't even cost any money. So Linda, you had mentioned that earlier in our conversation. Get outside in nature, take your shoes off, ground yourself, walk barefoot, sit in the grass, play in the sand, whatever. We get so many, we can discharge all those positive ions that we pick up from our modern world and offset them with the negative ions we can receive from the earth. So that'll be number one. Costs you no money. I'd say just move more. Humans are meant to move. We're meant to walk. So take a break. Something. If I didn't have a dog, I sit in front of a computer all day long. Yes, I have my exercise routine and all that sort of thing that I spend an hour to 2 hours a day, depending on the day. But, I have a dog, so I have to take him out multiple times a day. Get out in nature, get out to the park, take your dog for a walk. We need just to move more. So take that break from the computer, or if you work in an office at a desk, set that timer every 90 minutes, go walk around the floor, go downstairs, whatever. We need to move more. Whatever your nutrition looks like now, most people, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're vegan or carnivore, paleo, or somewhere in between. 99.999% of people could, just make small tweaks and just eat a little bit healthier, and that's just whole foods. So whatever your nutrition philosophy is, or whatever, assuming you have no testing and you can really hone it in and get really customized, like I work with my clients, whatever it is, you can probably cut out some processed foods. Whatever that may be for you, just eat more real foods, real whole foods. That known. Sleep. Make that commitment to yourself. Turn off the TV a little bit earlier. Turn the social media off. Go to, sleep even just 15 minutes earlier than you normally would, half an hour earlier. One thing that, and I have to admit, it's still work in progress for me, but one thing that I've tried to implement just in the last number of months is when my daughter decides, and she's got a very robust, she's a teenager, she's got a very robust skincare, pre-bed skincare routine, the whole deal. So she says, okay, I'm getting ready for bed, and it takes her an hour to do that. But I've decided, okay, when she's getting ready for bed, doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to go to bed, but maybe I should start the routine myself. Put my pajamas on, brush my teeth. So then when I do, and you typically meet my wife, like to maybe relax a little bit, get caught up with her day, maybe watch a movie, or maybe it's a sporting event if something big is going on in the world. But then when it's actually time to go to bed, now I don't have to spend another 20 minutes actually getting ready for bed. I'm done, and that actually gets me to bed a little bit earlier. So whatever. And then the other thing I'd say is, we got to manage our light exposure. So I'm going to talk about that from two ways. One, we need to get sunlight on our skin and on our faces, particularly in the early morning. So go outside, those first couple hours of the day. And again, that's going to vary depending where you live in the world. Don't wear sunglasses, get some sun on your skin, certainly on your face, certainly in your eyes. You're not going to go blind by looking at the sun in the first, hour of the day. And if that's challenging, again, time of year where you live, try and get outside, get some sunshine. And then the other part of that is watching our lighting as well. I'm wearing, blue light blocking glasses right now because again, I got some, not the best lighting and, for interviews and that sort of thing. So wherever you're at, wherever you work, whatever, just be mindful of that type of lighting and turn that blue lights off from our devices, from our phone, from our TVs, etc. In our household, every bedroom, not the main lights, but the side tables, we have red bulbs. So later in the night, we can just turn on the lamp. So we have red light as we're trying to prepare our bodies for bed, try to mimic the sunset as best as possible as we can in this modern world. So those are just a few very simple things that don't cost anything or very little money as a way to get started on your journey.
I am going to mention drinking alkaline water. And I know you have very advanced water that you drink. We're 70%, approximately 70% water, and we need to have good water coming in. I read on the internet that a plastic liter bottle of water has something like 250,000 particles of plastic, 90% of which are nanoplastics. So taking plastics out of eating and drinking would be very important. I understand we have particles in our brain, it's in our blood. So we need to get those toxins out. If we can get that out, I'm not sure what the science is, but we need to put things into glass containers, silicone, stainless steel. And then borrowing from the omnivore's dilemma, eat complexly. Food that is fresh and unprocessed, as you were saying, lots of vegetables, herbs, fruit in moderation, little or no meat, some fish, and consider becoming a vegetarian if you feel suited to that. I would also suggest some kind of meditation, mindfulness, reflection, daily if you can, or several times a week. I really work to do that at least every day. And then, of course, exercise. We need to be moving. I don't remember whether it's cardiologists, but physicians have said going to the gym in the morning is not enough if you're sitting all day. And they recommend that we go to walk around the office instead of taking elevators. If we're traveling somewhere, take a subway or a bus, a stop short, and walk the rest of the way. One client told me she walked home from her office. It took her 40 minutes after sitting all day. So keeping in motion is a very important thing. And also, yoga is so good to stretch the fascia of the body, and it strengthens bone. And I wanted to read something. I know we have 5 minutes and we have a lot to cover. I want to say, begin where you are. This is from an article that I wrote, Deepak, starting with small, achievable, manageable goals. Or you can begin with one goal. All of this cannot be tackled at once. This is a life's journey of balance and discernment. Remember, you are finding your rhythm and you need to listen to the music. Be sure to play. Some years ago, I learned to dance salsa for fun, and later I joined an improv group for novelty. Bring joy to your heart. As your own guru, you are the only one who knows what will satisfy. What I have just described, I am working on as well, and I want to inspire you to work for the best health you can achieve. Now, I want to ask you, Deepak, how can people find you? I understand you also have a free gift. Please tell
Absolutely.
our listeners.
Absolutely. First, Linda, I want to say all those things you mentioned. Absolutely. I 100% agree with those. These are all the things I implement myself personally and with clients as well. And we could probably spend another half an hour talking about all those things, which we don't have time. So yes, I thank you for teeing me up here. I do have a free gift for everyone. It's a free guide, 7 steps to optimize mental, physical, and financial performance. And there's the 7 areas, some of which we just talked about, that are easy things you can do. And then it's a tracker for 30 days. And as you said, Linda, don't try all 7 at once. That is not a recipe for success. Try 1, maybe 2, do it for 30 days, and either it resonates with you and you built a new healthy habit, or it doesn't. That's fine too. Go back and try another one. And over some period of time, you'll have tried all 7, and maybe some resonate with you, maybe some don't, which is fine. But you'll have a few new healthy habits to move forward with the rest of your life and build that into your lifestyle. So again, we'll drop the link there for everyone in the show notes or what have you. And that, you download that, you become part of my ecosystem. You can see everything that I'm up to. From there, you'll get all my social media links and know what I'm all about, events I'm hosting, all that sort of thing. So that's, I think, probably the best way is to download this guide, use it for yourself. Don't be one of those people who download a free ebook or gift or whatever and then never look at it. This is practical. Actually use this, use the guide, track it for the 30 days. And then you join my ecosystem and you know what I'm all about.
And they'll be on your mailing list.
You'll be on my mailing list and you'll know everything that's upcoming, other podcasts I'm on, other events I'm hosting, of other events I'm participating in, etc.
Well, I want to say to our listeners that next week, my guest will be Rebecca Hildegeist, who organizes women in community. So I hope you'll join us. But before we close, Deepak, any closing statements to share with our listeners?
I would say this. You might have been listening to this and you may like, wow, that sounds really great from where I'm starting at 100, living to 100 plus, whatever. I don't know about, look, you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be like Linda. But if you have the mindset to just improve a little bit, just take that first step. Any one of those things we just talked about in the last few minutes, just do one of those things and just start moving in the right direction. That's all I ask of the audience. Take one takeaway from today, try and implement it into your life and move forward.
Thank you so much, Deepak. This was so joyful, talking with a friend and colleague about something that's very close to my heart.
Yes, I appreciate you, my friend.
And so to listeners, bye for now. See you next week.